Hey, good morning, everybody. Denise of Lazy K Mountain Homestead. Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to thank everybody for subscribing and watching our videos. We're really happy that we're able to bring content that you're enjoying and hope you'll continue to do so. So thanks in advance. I'll still put the little subscribe things in and out because I think it's fun to put those in the video, makes them interesting. But today I am making honey bun cake. This weekend, Kelly had sent me a picture. She was at a church function and she sent me a picture of a honey bun cake. And I'm like, oh man, I made one of them. It's been years and years, but I thought I'd go ahead and make one. And they're really delicious. And they continue with my theme of using a cake mix. Now, some of you guys may not want to do that, but I think it's really fun and easy. And pretty successful if you do use a cake mix. You can find this recipe online without using a cake mix, but that's what I'm going to do. And I've got another one that I'm going to make soon for Austin's birthday that also uses a cake mix, and that will be a fun recipe too. Now this is considered a poke cake, P-O-K-E, where you poke, and when you put the icing on, it kind of drizzles down in there, and it's really yummy. Now, what I do with this recipe that makes it different from a lot of the honey bun cakes is I use chopped pecans or pecans, or pecans as my grandmother in Baltimore used to say. So she'd always say, I've got pecans that I'm selling. She used to sell them for her women's club. Oh, I miss those days. She was wonderful. Well, anyway, let's get started with this recipe before I start crying thinking about Mom. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to mix all of our ingredients together except for our middle. We have like a little streusel layer, and we'll get to that. My oven is preheated at 350, and we're going to use a 9x13 pan, cake pan, whatever you've got. And we're just going to spray this with the spray oil. If you want to use butter or anything else to grease it, you can, but I just use this. It works good. I don't flour this either. I just use this, the spray oil. Okay, so what we're going to use is a Betty Crocker, and like I said before, I think this is the best cake mix that you can get as far as it rises. And I've used some off brands and some other brands, name brands, and they don't seem to have the leavening in it like they used to. So I don't know what's going on with that. Let me go ahead and put the tripod down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. We're going to put that in. We are going to go ahead and add 4 eggs, and that is 3. Look at the size of that guy this morning I got. We've got eggs. I just had to share that with you. Beautiful egg. I'm going to put that in there. We're going to use 1 cup of sour cream. So you're probably thinking, wow, this is going to be a really nice and moist cake. And yes, it is. Because it's also going to use 3/4 cup of vegetable oil. We're going to go ahead and put that in. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now, if you've ever gone to the convenience store and bought a honey bun, you know how yummy they are with the cinnamon. And so good with a cup of coffee. And it's one of Willis's favorites. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're just going to mix this together. It's going to be a thick batter. Let me go ahead and use my Danish dough whisk. I just love these things. They just mix together so fast. Boy, it smells so good. I don't know if what cakes you guys like, but this is always my favorite, is yellow cake. I love yellow cake with chocolate frosting. Now, my mom, she always made me, for our birthday, she'd always say, what kind of cake do you want? and I'd always want a Jewish apple cake or a, what was that other cake I liked? I'm trying to think what that is. Can't think what that cake is. Chocolate chip cake. That's right. Yep. Okay, so we're just kind of getting this together. You don't have to stir it for 2 minutes or anything. You're just really blending it together until it's nice and smooth. All right, so let me bring that back down so you can see what we've got here. Nice smooth batter. Okay, we're going to pour half of this into our cake pan. Now, if you wanted to use a round, like a tube pan or something, you could. Springform pan, I don't think it would do well. But as long as you can divide the batter and you want to level it, that's what's key in whatever pan you decide to use. Okay, so we've got 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'm just going to mix this around, kind of chop it up, because you know how brown sugar can get a little hard if it's lost some of its moisture. Okay. Now, if you don't have brown sugar, guys, if you have white sugar and you've got a little molasses on hand, there's your brown sugar. Put it in your mixer and just pour a little of the molasses into the white sugar and let it go for quite a while, and it will make your wonderful brown sugar. The molasses puts the moisture in that this brown sugar has, and however light or dark you want it is how much molasses you're going to put in there. So this I made light brown sugar. Okay, and to this we are going to add cinnamon, and let's see, I think I'm going to add a whole teaspoon of cinnamon. Hold on here. Now I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. And now the recipe calls for nutmeg, but guess what I'm going to use? Yep, you're right. Cardamom. I've never made it with cardamom before, but I mean, how can you go wrong? And I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of cardamom. Oops, this makes it kind of spicy, but yummy. It'll be so good. All right, let me put those over there. Get my little whisk and whisk this together. And this is going to be your middle kind of streusel layer. Oh, man. And then after it's cooked, we're going to do the glaze like you find on your honey buns. So we're going to come over here, put this down so y'all can see what I'm doing. Okay, and we are just going to evenly spread all of this brown sugar and cardamom and cinnamon layer. So, and Bob, if you're watching, I'm sorry, it's got cinnamon in it. I can't help it. Just is what it is. Next time I make a cake, it won't have any of that in it. It'll have chocolate and some goodies in there. So Kathy can make that cake for you. Okay, so we've got that pretty well leveled out, and that's what you want. You want it to be level. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the rest of our cake batter all over the top, and we're going to spread it evenly. And remember, this is thick, and as it sits, it does get thicker. So you want to be able to have enough on that top layer to spread it. Now, like I said, these cake mix cakes are so good, and they're so easy. And if you're in a hurry, but you want to make something that's kind of homemade, I think this is the way to go. You know, I was a single parent for a long time, and I always tried to make sure my kids had a cake every week. Holly would always say, Mom, you always made us random cakes. Well, I made cakes every week. I try to make a cake on Friday when I got home from work. Okay. And that way, they had something yummy and sweet. And usually that cake would last almost all week. I had three little kids there. I miss them being little. They're all grown now, have kids, made me grandparents, and I'm even a great grandmother. I'm like, what? But anyway, here we go, guys. Here it is. Layer. You can see the layer there. We're going to go ahead and stick this in a 350-degree oven, preheated, for 30 to 35 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, guys, it's been 30 minutes, and my cake is done. And like I said, it's 30 to 35. My oven's a little bit hotter, I think. This is the cake. We're going to go ahead and let it cool. Just a bit, not completely cool. It's staying in here, of course. But what we're going to do is we're going to take, you can use a fork, a skewer. I'm going to use this. And I'm just going to go and make poke holes throughout the entire cake like this. And hence being a poke cake. And I'm going to let it cool probably 10 minutes before I go ahead and make the icing, and we will do that and pour it over the cake. It'll go down in these little holes. Now remember, my grandmother, she used to make Jello poke cakes. I think that's what they were called. And it was really pretty because you'd pour the Jello. It wasn't gelled or anything on these cakes, and the colors would go down in the middle and it would set. It would be so pretty. But anyways, that's just how I went ahead and poked the cake for now. And I'll be back in about 10 minutes. We'll get the icing together and we'll finish this cake. Oh, one other thing I wanted to tell you. I failed to tell you. In my brown sugar, I had already put in a half a cup of finely chopped pecans. And I had mixed that in the brown sugar, which was that little streusel layer in the middle. But if you do forget, not to worry, or if you don't like nuts, you can omit it because that's kind of like my part of the cake to make it mine. I like to make everything, tweak a little, just to make it mine. But when we put the icing layer on top of the cake, you can put your pecans, or you could use walnuts, black walnuts, even almonds would be good if you want some kind of nut, and that's what we like. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes to finish up the cake. Camera wasn't recording, so here is the glaze. Oh, my video went off. That's kind of crazy. But anyways, what I'm going to do now is just come back to the cake. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour this over the whole cake. And it's going to go down into those little crevices. I'll come back with a spatula and kind of level it out too. Okay. But that's what we're going to do. It's really yummy. Very vanilla. And you want to have all of that on there. And this is going to make just a really nice light glaze. You know how you see the honey buns are? It's not a lot of frosting. It's just a nice light glaze. And it goes inside your cake. And yummy. Okay. Then I'm just going to go ahead and spread it all out all the way to the edge. And we are going to let it cool completely before we cut it. My cake sunk a little teeny bit in the middle, but it did come out clean with the skewer, so I know it was completely done. Okay, now what we're going to do is come back with these chopped pecans. And like I said, this is a optional thing that you can do, but I just like it because I think it's pretty. And we like nuts. A lot of nuts. Okay, so there is your honey bun cake. Let me put this down so you can actually see the cake. Honey bun cake. And when it is cooled, I will cut it and come back and show you guys what it looks like on the inside. So we'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to let it cool. I'd say that it'll take about 30 minutes to cool. This is glass, and I think glass takes a little bit longer to cool than if you used a metal pan. So be back in a few. It's a really light glaze, as you can see by the second picture. Hope you enjoy. Bye.